Do you ever go to an arcade and just look at all the games there? Next time you find yourself in an arcade, just stop and look at all the cabinets. The first thing most people look at is the cool visuals and designs, which makes sense because that's how the games try to get your attention so you play them, but I enjoy looking at something else. Try looking a little bit closer at the unique controls that each cabinet has. Look at the different layouts of their buttons, how racing games have steering wheels, sports games have lanes and rims, light gun games have those guns where one never kinda works right, and those weird pain games have whatever this dumb stick thing is. These controls let you see how the game is played and how you as a player are meant to interact with them, which is cool, but I care more about how these controls bring us closer to the games themselves. These unique controls and the ways that we physically feel while playing them provide a sense of haptic connection to the game. I remember how the chair moved with my car in a racing game this one time, or how the buttons of a well-maintained fighting game always click in this really satisfying way. A lot of modern day games simply don't do this anymore. A lot of games feel the same with very similar controls and setups, where we press L2 to aim and R2 to shoot, and the left stick moves the player here while the right stick lets you look around. This isn't necessarily bad, it's just a natural part of how multiple games are being made for a single console now instead of multiple cabinets, and if anything, it has a lot of advantages. It makes games a lot more accessible and easier to learn, but I think that we lose something when the physical action of playing a game starts to feel the same as every other game. This is because humans connect well with physical sensations. When you picture a vivid memory, it isn't just the visuals that you reminisce on. You can picture the feeling of that experience, like the slow, red burning sensation of your cheeks during an embarrassing moment, or the warmth of holding someone's hand, or the soothing texture of the sand as you walk along the beach. When we lose having to think about how we physically interact with our controllers, we lose a core part of forming a connection with our games. When I was a kid, I played Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and there was a portion of the game where you get tortured and have to rapidly press your controller to stop from dying or breaking. I remember the aching feeling of my tiny little 12-year-old thumbs and how cool it felt that I could connect to my player character, who was also in pain. Compare this to the latest Call of Duty game where, during a very tense interrogation sequence, you have to do the hard and challenging task of looking to the right and left. Now, I know those examples were very cherry-picked, but I feel like this is indicative of a problem in many game studios. Game devs simply don't think about how we can use the physical medium of our controls to better connect players with the game and its stories. Maybe every now and then we'll get a QTE thrown into a cutscene, but that's about it. This sucks because the world of video games has gotten more advanced in every single aspect. We see now that even small budget game devs on the indie scene have the tools available to tell interesting and complex stories in their games. So, what are some ways that we can change and warp the ways that we control games to better connect the games to the players? If the problem comes from every game controlling the same, then a fun solution is to embrace weird and gimmicky controls. This forces the players to think more about how to play the game, which results in more deliberate actions and therefore more meaningful connections between the player and the gameplay. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is a game where the player controls two characters using one controller, with one joystick controlling the younger brother and the other controlling the older. At the start of the game, the characters are uncoordinated and very sloppy as the player gets used to these controls. But as the game progresses, the player gets more used to the controls and the brothers get more coordinated, which mirrors their arc in the story. And when one of the brothers dies, the player physically feels his absence as they have gotten so used to controlling two characters that controlling one feels like something is missing. Before Your Eyes is a great indie game that uses your device's webcam to track your blinking. The game has the player going through a series of memories, but every time you blink, you move forward in time. The inevitability of the player blinking no matter how much they struggle or want to stay in a specific memory, mirrors the game's themes about the inevitability of time's progression. Granted, these solutions don't work for every kind of game, but even games that are built with more standard controls can still do things to provide a more haptic connection with the player. The rumble system that a lot of controllers use is a very good tool to introduce physical sensations into our games. This refers to the shake of the controller when certain actions occur in games, such as when a player is hit really hard in UFC 3. The PS5 controllers also come with a hydraulic resistance system, which means that devs could increase and decrease the strength required to push down on the triggers and buttons of the controllers to mimic moments where the player character may be doing something with more physical resistance. So, to conclude this horribly structured and very badly edited video, the sensation of touch is something that more games should try to explore. It gives game devs another avenue to connect the player to their games and their world. They can do this by either forcing the player to think and be more deliberate about how they interact with the game, using weird and offbeat control schemes, or this can be done by using new technologies that are available to them that enhance the experience of playing by creating physical sensations in their games. Yeah, that's kinda it. I still don't know how to end YouTube videos, so I think I'm gonna do that thing again where I just randomly cut the video